time has finally come. It is oil change time. First oil change for the 2018 400. We have got 600 kilometers on the clocks. That's a little higher than I intended. I was planning to get it done at about 500 or maybe even a little less. But better late than never. So let's warm her up to start. Let it run for a minute just to get some heat in there, just so the oil flow is a little better. At the moment I got it up on these temporary spools. They're not the ones that are going to be there permanently, if there are even any put there permanently. I'm not real crazy about leaving spools there. Any kind of crash could damage the swing arm. But it works to get it up on the rear stand and up on my steering stem stand. So, oil change. This is actually my first time getting down and having a look at this, but they've made this bike very accessible for oil changes. You got the drain plug right here in the open. Oil filter right here in the open. Don't have to remove any fairings, everything's wide open under here. So let's get at it. Again, if you're looking for a definitive how-to video on how to do this, this is probably not the video for you. A lot like my fender eliminator install video, this is just a quick rundown on how to do it. It's not step-by-step procedure or anything, but this is one of the most basic things you can ever do with bike maintenance, so it's not that difficult. Don't worry about it. See? Gravity does most of the work. I will say one thing, if you do watch a step-by-step video on how to do this, they're probably going to tell you to change this crush washer. Totally up to you, but again, not necessary. You could reuse this 100 times and it's going to be fine. If it does ever give you trouble, heat it up red hot with a torch, you're back in business. Now, reinstalling this, I believe the manual wants 22 foot-pounds on it. I really don't feel like digging out my torque wrench just for this. It's another one of those things eventually you'll get by feel. Just a little self-control on this goes a long way. Somewhere between stripped and falling off is what you're shooting for. Good idea to don't hold the ratchet out here. Choke up on it a bit. This is not tight. You don't want this tight. There, that's plenty. To the filter. You can get filter wrenches for these to make it a little easier, but it's a tiny filter and it's pretty accessible, so you should be able to crank it off by hand. And again, a little self-control when you reinstall it, and you won't have an issue taking it back off the next time. So you shouldn't need a filter wrench, but for this is the first service. Sometimes they have Hercules working on the assembly line. Sometimes you just gotta give in and use one. But you should never have to use one to install a filter. Even after some initial movement with the filter wrench, it's still very difficult to turn by hand. That's just not right. Just look what it did to that filter. Totally caved it in trying to turn it loose. Now all you need is your new filter. That is the part number. And, of course, your favorite brand of motorcycle oil. I'll reach up in here and get a little dab of oil off the threads of the oil filter housing. Apply them to the O-ring on the new filter. Now there is a torque spec to tighten this filter up, but again, it's kind of overkill. Once the O-ring makes contact with the filter housing, just give it another turn to snug it up. Probably half a rotation of the filter. If you stick with just that much, you'll never have a leak from it, and you'll be thankful you did it next time you go to change the oil, because it'll actually come off by hand. Now to fill this animal, I usually just use a regular old funnel, but I just picked this up this past winter. It's measured out. It's got a little flow control valve right there, and a cap to keep it from spilling when you're not using it. So we're going to give this a shot. Since I fully intend to get this in at the 1,000 kilometer mark for the dealer service, just to stay good in my warranty terms and all, I'm not using anything fancy for oil right now because it ain't going to be in here for very long. Not real crazy about this funnel so far. It's not bad, but now according to the manual, the bike should take about 2 liters. So we'll go for about 1 3/4 and then check it again. This thing sure doesn't flow very fast. This funnel even has a little strainer in it, but since there's only clean oil going in there, I sure hope it doesn't catch anything. Alright, cap it up and fire it up. Sitting just about right on the full mark. We'll just have a quick look underneath for any leaks. Check your drain plug around your filter. Everything looks good, so we'll just let it settle for a minute and recheck the oil level once the oil has a chance to settle back in the base. Well, I was wrong, and apparently so was the manual, because 2 liters just isn't going to cut it. I even took it down off the stands to check if they weren't sitting perfectly straight, but it's still nowhere near the full mark. So I'm going to get Tracy out here to sit on it and hold it straight, and we'll have to add a little bit and see how much more it takes. That took like an extra 250 milliliters to get up to the full mark. That's odd. Anyway, that's it. It's just a matter of getting these temporary spools put away and get out for a ride on the damn thing.